come to share her story today with you guys because transformation can happen when you have the right mindset. You can reach your goals, and her story really encapsulates the dedication, determination, and perseverance of pushing through all the things. So I'm going to tell you just a little bit about her. Danielle is a transformational coach, wife, and mother, fiercely committed to inspiring women to unlock their full potential and become the best version of themselves, transforming, reinventing, and rewriting their stories as many times as necessary to find their true, authentic self. Please help me welcome Danielle to the stage.
Thank you. Let me just put this down for a second. Thank you. Thank you. Good morning. All right, situating myself. All right. How many of you have ever owned one of these portable picnic blankets that zips up into a nice little carry-on with the strap? You see it in the store on Amazon and you think, that looks great. What a perfect accessory to have at the beach. So you buy it. The first time you use it, all you need to do is simply unzip it, fluff it out, and voila, a big, beautiful blanket for the entire family to enjoy. Everyone has a great day of waves, sand, snacks, all the snacks, right, moms? And at the end of the day, you are the one responsible for cleaning it up. So you get down on all fours and you're trying to figure it out. You're getting frustrated. You can't really figure out the steps. It's pretty complicated, or the folding or the order. And so you just crumple it up and you throw it in the trunk, realizing this perfectly zipped up version was only one side of the story. But when you get home, you shake it out, you wash it, you dry it, you lay it out, and you take the time to make the folds in the correct order, you realize it is, in fact, a masterpiece. The incredible invention it was made to be all along. You just had to take the time to slow down and figure it out. Much like the perfectly zipped up version of this blanket, you see me. The soft, colorful, vibrant after version of the mess that needed to be cleaned up along the way. But trust me, underneath this, there's still plenty of mess that needs to be sorted out. I promised to deliver a raw and honest message here today, so I've decided to strip it down, not literally, to expose the vulnerability that I know is required to get that message across. But what you still won't see is the daily work, the dedication, the hard days, the days when I feel like a failure, and the days that I just want to quit. Transformation takes time, patience, strategy, and planning. A little over a year ago, I was sent a message of sorts from the universe or a higher power. I call it God. I was plagued with the notion that I, Danielle Urban, was made for more. And let me be clear when I use the word plagued, because I know it's an emotionally heavy word and it carries the weight of intense responsibility. I didn't ask for this message, but nonetheless I received it, and it left me questioning. Who am I? What does this mean? Why me? I know I'm meant to be a light in this world, no doubt about that. I've always shared positivity encouragement, and optimism. But I also know, and need you to know, that I too have come from the depths, from the pits of despair and the valleys of loneliness. There is an ancient legend of the phoenix, a magnificent bird that lives for centuries. When its time has come, the phoenix does not simply fade away. Instead, it builds itself a nest and sets itself on fire. To the outside world, it looks like total destruction. Ashes, smoke, nothing left behind. But from those ashes, the phoenix rises again, renewed, stronger, and more radiant than before. I love this legend because it reminds us transformation is not pretty. Sometimes it feels like everything around us is burning down. Old habits, old identities, old ways of being. But just like the phoenix, those very ashes can become the foundation for our rebirth. The fire is not the end. It's the beginning of becoming who we were always meant to be. The new me could emerge. In fact, I had come from the bottom to rise up through the fire from the ashes like the phoenix once before. And in receiving this calling 1 year ago, I felt it was my time to rise up once again. When you get that calling and you know in your gut it's time to level up, that's scary. I tried to avoid it. There is no avoiding it. Transformation, none of us really asks for it. It comes in the form of a breakdown, a rock bottom, or a wake-up call. And the truth is, you are all sitting here today because a part of you has been called too. This is your invitation to rise. It's time to fight, persist, and prevail. We established, I was called here today by a higher power. God is calling me to share my story in hopes of not only inspiring you, but in motivating you to take the action that is required for change to occur. So I'm going to share my story. Going through high school, you're encouraged to choose a career, a job, or at the very least, a major in college. In high school, I was smart. I got straight A's. I graduated number 2 out of 900 graduates. However, I didn't know what I wanted to be when I grew up. Side note, a little secret, I still don't really know. But caving to the pressures to make that decision, I thought about my strengths like math and problem solving, and my gifts like creativity and attention to detail. And I came up with a solution: architecture. Now that I made a decision on a major, I needed to choose a school. Syracuse University. Why, you may ask? Because it had a world-renowned architecture program? Well, yeah, that was part of it. But more importantly to me, it was a party school. In fact, it was ranked in the top 10 on the list of top party schools when I attended in the early 2000s. And keep in mind, I was a focused student, a nerd, if you will. But my priorities in my college days were clearly askew. I actually went to college to get an MRS. Has anyone ever heard of that? A Mrs. Exactly. I was focused on finding myself a future partner who would support me, become my husband, and the future and the future father of my children. Not the best plan of the decade. Hundreds of thousands of dollars later, I graduated with a degree in architecture, major debt, and a book called Delaying the Real World. It's a real book by Colleen Kinder. Look it up. I had a goal to be a mom and a wife, but I never really knew who I was or what I was meant to be. I didn't really know what my purpose in life was supposed to be. After college, I went on to delay the real world for as long as possible, writing out the Great Recession of 2008 in my childhood bedroom, along with my future husband. Lo and behold, that MRS plan actually worked out. Eventually, we got on our feet and moved out of that childhood bedroom. I held a few odd jobs here and there until 2011 when I got pregnant and became a stay-at-home mom. And my daughter is now a teenager, and she's beautiful. Thank you for being here, honey. Show of hands, how many of you here are moms? Wow, okay, quite a few. So perhaps some of you might be able to relate what I'm about to say. For many years, I identified as a mom. I thought it was my one and only purpose in life, thought it was my mission. But when my daughter turned 5 and I hit rock bottom, I started to question everything. I was struggling in my relationship with her father for years. I was using food and alcohol to cope. And by 2017, I found myself at almost 200 pounds, which was the heaviest I had ever been in my life. I was struggling physically, mentally, and financially too. And at the age of 32, I, along with my daughter this time, found myself living back at home with my parents again in, you guessed it, that same childhood bedroom. For me, rock bottom came on Easter Sunday of 2017. I was getting ready for church. I must have tried on at least 10 different dresses. Nothing fit. Nothing felt right. I wound up sitting on my bedroom floor in tears because I couldn't even recognize the woman staring back at me in the mirror. That was the moment I knew something needed to change, not just for me, but for my daughter, because I knew she was watching me. I realized if I didn't show her what it looked like to set goals, chase them, and take care of myself, that I would be teaching her to settle for less too. I made the decision that day. The pain of staying the same was greater than the pain of the change. And let me be honest, the beginning stages were a little messy. I wasn't perfect. I had setbacks. But I took one step and then another, and I kept moving forward. That day that I hit rock bottom, it was painful. But it was also the spark that lit the fire for my transformation. It was my awakening. But I quickly learned that making a decision is only the first step. Real change doesn't happen overnight. It requires intention, action, energy. It requires pushing beyond what's comfortable and stepping into the unknown. There's a quote by Thomas Jefferson that became a guiding light for me. If you want something you've never had, you must be willing to do something you've never done. And that's exactly what I did. I put one foot in front of the other, letting go of fear, and choosing to act like the woman I wanted to become before I even fully believed I was her. First, I started to get healthy in my body, and then I quickly realized that mental and emotional growth were part of that process. I followed a structured nutrition plan, lost 60 pounds, and thought I had made it. When I hopped on that scale and saw my goal weight, I thought I reached the finish line, but little did I know the journey was just getting started. For the next several years after reaching my goal weight, I still struggled quietly. I struggled with my weight, my body image, body dysmorphia, and mental health. I was not consistent with my habits, and I hadn't accepted exercise as part of my new healthy lifestyle. I found myself slowly gaining weight, and my habits slipped. From 2021 to 2024, I gained over 30 pounds back. Which brings me to September of 2024, about 1 year ago. I have declared this past year my transformation 2.0. Approaching 40 was a wake-up call for me. It was a difficult time. I questioned not only my purpose in life, but my validity as a transformation coach. I was experiencing imposter syndrome. I know we talked about a lot about that this weekend. I had let my own habits slip and couldn't find the authenticity I once felt. I was mentally distraught and I couldn't figure out who I was. I knew I needed a change. Many people have asked, what made this time around different from the first time? One major difference was my consistency in exercise. I had always had an on-again, off-again relationship with fitness. I struggled to find a routine that worked for me. To be honest, I really hated exercising. I never really enjoyed it. I would force myself to do it, but could never really find something that worked for me. I would use it as a punishment for poor eating habits, and I would blame losing the luck of the draw when it came to the gene pool. There have been times when I was really intense and all in, only to completely lose steam and quit on it. I have taken more hiatuses than I can count, some lasting a few months, others lasting a year or more. I had tried almost everything from old school exercise DVDs like Turbo Jam to one-on-one personal trainers, including my husband at times, to small group personal training, large group classes like Burn, Tabata, Zumba, etc. I tried niche gyms like Orange Theory and Cycle Bar. I tried running on the treadmill, running at the beach, running in my neighborhood. I never really had a strong why to work out, even though I knew it was an important part of a healthy lifestyle and an important part of maintaining a healthy weight. Finally, in September of 2024, I got a new why, and I got down to business. I signed up for Dancing for the Space Coast, and thanks to my dance partner, I was encouraged to level up in my fitness. If I wanted to be a better dancer, I needed to be in better shape. So, with a new why, some additional accountability, a wonderful community of local friends, all looking to improve their health journeys, and consistent action, I can now say I am confident that I will be including fitness as part of my healthy lifestyle long term. Thank you. It's now just a part of my daily routine. I want to, I get to, and I choose to move my body each and every day. I walk, I run, I dance, I stretch, I strength train. Some days I do it all, others, one or two. I am proud of myself for creating discipline in this area of my health journey. And discipline doesn't mean being perfect. Discipline means showing up even when you don't want to. It means choosing to do the hard thing now so your future self will thrive later. For me, discipline meant prioritizing my workouts, sticking to my nutrition plan, and honoring the commitments I made to myself. I started small, and over time, my habits and routines have evolved. Something else that was a huge part of my journey this time around was my perception of self. This time, it wasn't just a transformation of my body, it was a transformation of my soul. The physical transformation was actually a byproduct of beginning a healing process. I shed the physical weight while I shed the metaphorical weight of guilt, shame, limiting beliefs, and sorrow. Take a look at this quote by Aristotle. The most important relationship we can all have is the one you have with yourself. The most important journey you can take is the one to self-discovery. Or to put it in a more contemporary context for you, are there any Sex and the City fans in the house? Yes. Do you remember Samantha? Okay. Do you remember what she said to Smith when she broke up with him? She said, "I love you, but I love me more. I've been in a relationship with myself for 49 years, and that's the one I need to work on." Me 40, her 49. I'm not quite there yet. You, my friends, are the most important project you will ever work on. You need to show up, especially when it's hard. Keep showing up, even when no one is watching. That consistency, that discipline, that level of dedication is where the true transformation occurs. I choose to do the hard things, especially when the more comfortable choice is easier. Working on my relationship with myself is still a journey I'm navigating. Staying true to my commitments to personal growth requires me to embrace an even deeper level of change. To reignite my soul, I needed to find something that was truly going to spark joy within me. What I learned in this process is to do something that brings you joy every day. For me, I find joy in dance. Last year, I found myself dancing again after a 20-year hiatus. I had taken jazz classes as a kid and adolescent, and I performed in recitals with my class. I stopped dancing after college. Finding myself back in a dance studio reignited a dormant spark in my soul. It started giving me joy and excitement to my relatively mundane existence. And once I started enjoying life more, I inspired myself to want to take care of myself more. So I went back to basics with the one thing I could control, and that was my habits. I set the reset button, got my head back in the game, and set some goals. And then I put a plan in place to achieve those goals. What I have found about transformation is you will start to change your energy and as a result, your frequency. During this process, my confidence elevated. I consider it my sexy confidence era. I'll let you in on a little secret. I even tried pole dancing classes. It was fun. It's a good workout, by the way. And guess what? There was an exciting byproduct of the new me. Many new opportunities started seeking me. Over the course of this summer, in the span of 1 month, I was asked to be a personal trainer at not one, but 2 local gyms. I was invited to do another public dance performance. and to be a model in an art and fashion show. I believe I was attracting these opportunities based on the law of attraction. What exactly is the law of attraction? Let's talk about it. At its core, it's really simple. What you think about and focus on, you attract. Our thoughts and emotions are like magnets. When we're caught up in fear, doubt, or negativity, it's like we're pulling those things right into our world. But when we shift our focus to gratitude, possibility, and abundance, we start to naturally bring those things in instead. Think about it. Have you ever had one of those mornings where you wake up and automatically say, oh, today is going to be awful. And then, sure enough, the traffic is worse, the people around you are crankier, and everything is just heavy. But if you start your day with just one positive thought, something as simple as something good is going to happen today, you will automatically notice more kindness, more opportunities, more blessings. It's not that the circumstances changed, you did. And here's the thing about the law of attraction. It isn't about sitting back and wishing for things. It's about alignment. When your thoughts, your words, and your actions are in line with the person you want to become, you naturally start to live into that reality. In just a few minutes, we're going to do an activity together, and I'm going to ask you to write down some commitments to your body, your mind, and your health, or your spirit, And those commitments are going to become more than just words on paper. They'll be the magnets that begin to draw you toward the women you're becoming. They'll be the start of your own alignment. So, to sum my story up, my advice is lead with your heart. Find the thing that brings you joy and do that thing as much as you can, and the rest will fall into place. As a result of my transformation 2.0, I lost 40 pounds, and at 40 years old, I am in the best shape of my life. Thank you. Okay, so now that you've heard my story, you might be wondering, how did I actually transform? How did I do this? Let's talk about how you can begin that process in your own life. I'll start with what I didn't do. I didn't rely on injections. I didn't turn to medications. I didn't look for a magic pill. Instead, I chose the long game, the things that truly last. Proper nutrition, hydration, exercise, better sleep, consistency, discipline, and a positive mindset. There's a quote by Mike Murdock that says, "The secret of your future is hidden in your daily routine." And I found that to be absolutely true. So let me give you some practical steps that you can start using today. The first step is to lead yourself. And if you want, you can take a picture or write this down in your journal. Ask yourself, what would my future self do? How would she start her day? What habits does she have that I can begin building now? There were 3 areas that I focused on when becoming the woman who I always wanted to be: body, mind, and spirit. You may have heard the saying, how you do one thing is how you do everything. Consistency. That's my word for this last year. Consistency became a guiding principle for me. I wasn't perfect. Nowhere near it. But I was consistent. And consistency beats perfection long term every time. So here are some things that I did. For my body, I eat every 2 to 3 hours following a structured nutrition plan. I cook a majority of my meals at home instead of eating out. I track calories in an app and macronutrients as well. I stay hydrated, which means I go to the bathroom a lot. And I also gave up alcohol first time around, Transformation 1.0, about 5 years ago. I felt like it was no longer serving the highest and best version of me. I move my body every day with walking, cardio, strength training, or even just getting outside for some fresh air and sunshine. And I walk the dog, Ella, every day, which is why I have this amazing tan. For my mind, I set boundaries around sleep and energy. I choose to focus on something positive each day. I find accountability, whether it be a mentor, a coach, a friend, family member. And quick tip, if you don't yet believe in yourself, borrow that belief from someone who does, from a trusted friend. I practice discipline, even on the days I don't feel like it. Sometimes you have to, quote unquote, eat the frog. Do the hard thing first. Get it out of the way. For my spirit, I start my morning with prayer and gratitude. I speak life into myself with positive affirmations. I do a quick purpose check-in, asking myself, does what I'm doing today align with the woman I want to become? I practice small acts of kindness. I send out encouraging texts. I give compliments. I just lift others up. And I end my day with reflection. One win, one lesson, and one intention for tomorrow. The bottom line is your daily habits are the ashes you rise from. Consistency, not perfection, is the fire that fuels your transformation. And the woman you are meant to be is already in you. So, what changes can you commit to today in body, mind, and spirit? On your tables, you'll find little white organza bags with the 6-dimension coaching tag. In those bags are note cards that have these 3 words on them. I invite you to write down one commitment in each area that you are ready to start implementing today. It could be something small and simple like drinking more water, getting in more steps, practicing gratitude daily. Small and steady commitments are more impactful long-term than grandiose commitments that are not practical or sustainable. So I'll give you guys a minute to work on that. And if you notice at the bottom of the note card, it does have my social QR codes where you can find me on Facebook and Instagram. I do have a TikTok as well because I like to dance, but I always repost on those other platforms. And then the tag that is on the outside of the bag is our website, 6dimensioncoaching.com. We're working on some new programs, and we just launched the Burn to Rise series of our e-course. So we're very excited about that.